So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are live, and we are coming to you from 420radio.ca. I'm your host, Al Graham. Tonight, as always, we are coming to you from the front window at Canada's, located in downtown Campbellford, and actually Wayne's wired in here. He's listening to the show as well. Tonight, I'm joined by my joint host, Kim Cooper, and she has invited a past guest that likes and enjoys and loves to help people with access to medical cannabis, as well as educating them on it as well. And before we learn more, Kim and I are going to have a bit of a chat. Well, Kim, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad tonight, Al. Not too bad at all. Things are rolling right along in life and in cannabis. And lots of changes going on that the Canadian government might not be so pleased about these days, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Well, in their news article today, there's been some discussion over time, do the natives have inherited rights and whether they can, look after cannabis, regulate it, sell it, whatever, on their own with their own regulations. And we're seeing a bit of a pushback. There's lots of reserves across the country that are moving forward on the cannabis issue, but we are seeing some pushback from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, of all places, Saskatchewan. I'm not surprised. I met some of the people from Saskatchewan when they visited Ontario at one point to see what was going on down here, and it was a pretty interesting meeting as well. But they are of the mind of inherent right is what they're arguing. They're saying, they don't want to be part of the Canadian government's LP system. They want to cultivate and regulate their own system within their own regulatory framework and do it themselves without interference or assistance of any kind from the feds at this point. They're saying we can do this ourselves the same as we do many other things that come down to inherent right, which is their right under treaties.
Yeah, well, there's a First Nation store that's controlled by the First Nation community that's opened up outside of Regina, and the Justice Minister in Saskatchewan wants the store shut down.
Yeah, well, oh goodness, we had it earlier. Miskowpatung First Nation, I hope I did that right. Miskowpatung. Oh goodness, I'm probably slaughtering it. Anyway, First Nations issued they issued a news release, and they said no. In the interim, we can advise that we're waiting to hear from Canada and have a sit down with them about reconciliation and to negotiate First Nations jurisdiction over cannabis. So they're ready to sit down with the government and discuss this, but they're not ready to back down.
Yeah, because the province is saying that the federal government has given them that legal right in order to control what the reserves do with on the cannabis issue, and obviously across the country, that's not being met very well.
Yeah. We're seeing other First Nations doing the same thing, and it comes down to band council. It goes before your band council. They make a decision. They vote on it. The majority of the places that are going forward with this kind of thing have a large majority of their population that are saying, yes, we see the business sense of this. We see the economics of it, and we see the viability study of it to boost our First Nations territory with a brand new industry that will gain work and put an economy in place where they're currently struggling to create one. So, I mean, it's a great thing.
Including the medical benefits as well.
Well, that's it. It goes it goes to the medicinal benefits, of course. That's first and foremost, because that's part of their traditional teachings. It was part of the original medicine, and they're just going back to their roots.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. I'm sure this is going to keep going. It'll end up in the court, and it'll just keep going right to the top court and see what happens.
Yeah, well, we see the same thing happening in Tyendinaga territory with Nimca. Now we see it happening in Saskatchewan following the same model. I see this spreading across Canada in Native territories and playing a very large role. Now, what the government is going to do about it, are they just going to stand there and allow it to happen? Doubtful. Watching this for sure.
Yeah, same here. All right. Well, we'll get our opinion. We'll get opinion from our guest on this subject. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, at this time, I'd like to welcome the person I described as someone who loves to help to educate people about the medicinal value of cannabis. And we would like to welcome KELZ Csada to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
Hi, everybody. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're happy to have you back and hear what's new and exciting in the middle of Canada, because that's about where you are, aren't you?
Yeah, we're kind of central here.
Kind of central, yeah.
Canada's Midwest.
Canada's Midwest. That's right. That's right. Yes. Okay. Well, Kelly, I don't know. You heard us talking about what's going on. Are you anywhere near that place in Regina with the First Nations?
It's only about 40 minutes from here, and it's Muscapetun.
Muscapetun. Okay, I slaughtered it. Muscapetun. Okay.
And you know what? I think it's awesome. The more places that we have in place to help medical patients, kudos to them. And Saskatchewan went through the same fight with the casinos. The Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Association, no, it's covered provincially. You can't do that. There was big fights, and now White Bear has their casino on their reserve.
Yeah.
So hopefully this goes the same way. It brings income there. It helps the people. I mean, look at the opiate crisis here in Saskatchewan, in Canada as general, but here in Saskatchewan too,
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Like we down here at Tyendinaga, and there's another name that's.
That one took me a while.
There's from going down there, we're hearing stories about employment increase. People have money to, fix their houses. People have money to get a car. People have jobs.
Oh, you see the evolution happening before your eyes down there. It's the entire area has grown by leaps and bounds. People's houses are nicer. They're driving nicer cars, like you say. There's businesses operating.
Yeah.
There's shops popping up, and not just cannabis shops, but other shops, souvenir shops, grocery stores, all kinds of things, we're getting industry.
It's improving the quality of life of people, and they don't even have to consume it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, throw-off business is enormous. They've created companies like there's a new gravel pit company, and there's a new construction company there now that's operating. There's a new piping company there that's operating because there's so much construction. New businesses opened in order to help build. So that's all two businesses that happen there. You wind up with a prosperous community overall.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And look
at
our land here. I mean, they start growing. That's only bringing more opportunity.
Yeah.
They've got their dispensary there. They grow their own. I mean, I think it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's what
And I
they've
mean,
on down there.
one of the 6 stores finally opened here in Regina on Saturday. One of the first 6 that were for actual city of Regina.
Yeah.
They opened Saturday, and this morning there was a sign on the door, out of product.
Oh, wow.
So that's the one that's operated by the government.
Yeah. It's independent, but it's one of the 6 licenses. Because remember, Saskatchewan here had a lottery.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is an independent. Yeah. Supposedly it's not Tweed or, those are being built right now.
Yeah.
But, open Saturday and sign on the door this morning.
Cool.
Yeah, and we're seeing that across the country, aren't we?
Well, Kim, maybe here, by the time our brick and mortar stores open up in April, maybe by then the LPs will have things straightened out a little bit.
Do you think? I don't. It takes a lot longer than that to grow quality medication, process it, package it, and distribute it to the masses. April's not that far away.
No.
Yeah, we don't have enough time. I mean, they still haven't even authorized the licenses for these people. You've got to plant the seeds, you've got to grow the product, you've got to cure the product, you have to dry the product, and then you have to package the product. We're seeing a year down the road.
A year.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
A year or 2 it takes for them to finally get through all the licensing process.
That's right. And Health Canada they say, we hired more people. Well, they're not going any faster than the original 6 that you had. So 12 cutting it. So,
Well,
so now I guess that was that like all the stores in Saskatchewan that are basically closing, or I guess it's just the one store in the whole province you've got, or?
And I think there might be one open in Saskatchewan. Like, a lot of them are ready to go, but say they can't get the product. But you know what? All the ones that are ready or, were announcing that they were opening and then backed off, they're all independent. So the licenses that went to the LPs, Tweed and such, that got licenses, they haven't opened their stores. So it seems to me that push the independents out there. Let's get them to charge their $18.99 a gram, and let's watch them fall. And then they're going to open their shops. You watch.
Yeah, and I think the same thing too. But then on the other hand, I think about the ones, some of them have backed away. I know people that said that they wanted to get into it, and now seeing what's going on, they're like, no, I think I'm going to change direction, because they don't want to get into it because there's no product to sell. How can I operate a brick and mortar store and not be able to sell anything out of it because I don't have the product? They're going to go under for sure. So some are giving it up before they open the door.
Well,
I'm looking at that guy.
But to how much money they've already put in,
Yeah.
They've got their license. They've done everything to their shop. I know the young girl in Saskatoon, beautiful shop. And
and nothing to sell.
And then all of a sudden, they told her, no, we can't supply you. Well,
we don't have any.
Poor girl's still paying her lease and all her overhead, and doesn't have an operating business.
Yeah,
that's right. And like you say, the really LPs can sustain that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of these independents were set up. We'll put you out in the first wave, and then we're going to come in and show you, hey, we'll drop our prices. We got full stock, but the independents don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you might be onto something there, Kelly. It's an aspect that I never quite thought of. Can they be hoarding product waiting for LP operated shops? I guess that's a possibility.
It's awful funny.
Once they meet their annual quota,
I mean, they're still letting some go. I know in Ontario we have the OCS and the Ontario Cannabis Store, and our only outlet is online. Now, they do have stock coming from these LPs online, but I can't speak to anything about brick and mortar because we simply don't have them in this province.
Well, they don't even have it on the store.
Yeah.
Even the online store doesn't even have the product.
Yeah.
Right.
People are still waiting for their orders that they ordered back on the 17th of October.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a shortage everywhere. So they're saying that they simply don't have it. But yeah, it's a good question. Do they have it, and are they selling it out of their own shops?
Yeah.
But
there
how
one
do
in
they
Tweed?
simply don't have it, Kim, but yet they're shipping to Australia and other European countries?
Oh, for sure.
They're
It's the export.
Contracts with those and exporting it
Germany.
out of Canada.
Yeah,
When
exports. Yeah.
Canadians who have a real issue, not even just the rec stores, but the medicinal stores, system they have set up, patients can't get their medication, yet you're supplying Australia. Look at the Bedro oil that all the kids were using, doing phenomenal on. All of a sudden, Australia has that contract now, and kids here in Canada can't get it till 2020.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we've got PM up there saying, oh, what about the children? And that's my biggest worry is that I've been saying from the beginning. Yeah, what about the children? Let's discuss that honestly. Okay, because you're not freaking thinking about them, are you? I don't think so. It's a bunch of bull for sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. The export is outrageous, the amount that we're exporting when our own country is doing without. And it all comes down to the almighty buck. The hoarding aspect, waiting for their own stores, that's something I never considered, but I'm definitely going to be looking at in the future for sure. Al, you're out there. Does Tweed have a brick and mortar store on their site in Hershey?
No, at the old Hershey factory there, it's actually in Smith Falls. There's no store there. You can't buy any cannabis there because
they're allowed to make one there, right? They're allowed to.
Well, the province, the way that they've come up with the regulations and all that for the brick and mortar stores is that the LPs will be allowed one store.
Right, so they're allowed one store on site.
But they haven't opened it yet because brick and mortar won't happen here till brick and mortar won't happen here till April, right? So
well, that's when
there's no retail store.
Will be ready. I was just wondering if Tweed maybe was under because they're building it themselves. If they're ready before April, they could probably open before April and be the only foot resource.
Yeah.
Right.
No. The application process for the retail stores won't even actually start receiving them until the middle of December, from my understanding.
Yeah, but I don't think they have to do that because they're the on-site store. They're automatically allowed to have a store there.
You would think they would still need to have a license.
Yeah, but I don't.
License to do everything else.
I don't think they have to do the whole application thing.
I don't know of them. I don't know of them being open. Or any of the other LPs.
Look into that. That's an interesting aspect.
Because we got the most LPs in the country here in Ontario.
Yeah. That's an interesting aspect for sure. But okay, well, we got carried away right on that right away. So let's back it up just a little bit for people out there that maybe don't know who Kelly is. We're having this wonderful conversation and they're all thinking, well, who the hell is this person? Okay, so we have Kelly Csada with us. She is the owner, operator, and creator of KELZ Medical Services Corp. Kelly is a cannabis patient as well, longtime patient, and knows the benefits of using cannabis, and she's passing that education on to the masses in her area in the Midwest of Canada, out there in Regina. Kelly, you do some great stuff out there. You've been featured in media for quite a while, showing some of the stuff that you've been through and some of the stuff that you do. You're a speaker. You're educating medical professionals in your area. You host seminars. You teach classes. All kinds of stuff going on at KELZ. Man, it took off like gangbusters, didn't it?
It did. It's been a crazy ride. When we first opened, we were a dispensary. We've had to change up our business model a little bit, but we're still doing the exact same thing we set out to do in the first place, is end that stigma. It's patients helping patients, and we do all we can to bring it forth that we're using cannabis as a medicine, and this is how it works in your body. This is what it can do for you, and help end the stigma of what the prohibition, the propaganda surrounding that did.
Awesome. Amazing.
Right? It takes so much longer to help people realize that they were lied to, right?
Yep. Yep, for sure. We got to pound that into their heads over and over and over again. Now, I mentioned the medical and stuff. You've been having seminars and having classes and giving some education to some pretty amazing medical professionals these days.
Yeah, it was great. I got to speak at the GI Nurses Conference. Usually every year they have around 200-300 nurses there from the GI unit. I mean, any RN, I believe, can purchase a ticket. There were some people there from, the university. So we kind of did it on my story because GI, was with mine. I have Crohn, so all the IBD. And we did it on if their patients are using cannabis, because so many patients now are going into the hospital and cannabis is their choice of medicine, right? So it's about helping them understand that they can use this medicine while they're in the hospital as well, instead of having to leave it behind.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe try this first instead of last. Exactly.
If only I would have had it as a forefront instead of after 25 years of pure hell.
Yeah, and I was just going to go there. Your 25 years of pure hell, as you said, you're a patient. A little bit background on your story. You do have Crohn's disease. You've lost like several feet of your intestines, of your insides, and gone through surgeries and gone through hell. And cannabis, it came down to cannabis.
It did. I lost over 18 feet of my small intestine. I had 4 bowel resections and numerous other god-awful surgeries we don't want to go into. I had a lot of years taken from me from my Crohn's disease. And, I did all the biologic drugs with the side effects. None of them I was on very long, because as soon as I would go on them, I would have different things happen in my body where the doctor would have to take me off right away. So I started researching cannabis because my father actually had watched a show and said, I think it was down somewhere in Africa where they were actually smoking cannabis, and it was helping people with digestive and gastro problems.
Yeah.
But I found that when I smoked it, my kids were younger. I grew up with that stigma. I grew up with my parents saying, do not. So it was like, I just felt uncomfortable. I just felt smoking wasn't for me. Yeah. And so I stopped with that, and then I kept researching and found out there were so many other ways that you could consume cannabis. And when I started, I've been using cannabis for 3.5, almost 4 years now. I was off all the medications I was on in 5 months. The only pharmaceutical I take is Synthroid for my thyroid. I was on 125 micrograms of that, and actually now I'm only taking 100 micrograms. And I haven't looked back. I've been in clinical remission. So the gastros kind of watch me here. When I go in for my appointments, there's been sometimes a couple of other gentlemen in my doctor's office listening. And after I did the GI conference, I've even had a couple of gastroenterologists jump on board.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see that they do that.
It is. It's wild.
Crohn's, I was addicted, obviously. I was on a fentanyl patch that I changed every 3 days.
Yep.
My body was totally addicted to those medications.
Oh, well, you are immediately. You can't be on them and not be. I mean, that goes hand in hand with any narcotic that you're being prescribed.
Exactly.
You're on it for 10 days, chances are you're addicted.
Right. And I went through all different kinds in 25 years. So if you could imagine at the end, like I said, a fentanyl patch, long-acting oxy morning and night, upwards of 20 to 30 morphine for breakthrough during the day, Zopiclone and clonazepam.
I lived in them with you.
5 months to get off all of them. And I didn't suffer any withdrawal. I replaced those with the cannabis, you know, and I haven't had to up my dose, per se, of cannabis since I started.
Yeah, and you touched on what I think is the key there that we have to really push these days, and that's everybody's mind. They say, oh, cannabis. They think, oh, well, I don't want to smoke a joint. That's not what it's about.
Exactly. There's so many other ways to consume. I mean, I consume a rice-sized piece of RSO, I guess you call it, every morning and every night. Like I said, my Crohn's is in remission, but I do get that IBS bloating pain sometimes. For that, I use a half a square chocolate, works phenomenal. And I take a high CBD oil, 2 drops in the morning and 4 drops under my tongue before I go to bed at nighttime.
Nice. And that's a great regime for you. That's what works for you. And there are so many avenues these days. I mean, today's world, it isn't about sitting in the circle anymore and smoking a joint. That's what we do socially. That's not what we do when we medicate.
And that's what, you know, trying to teach people is that, and with these recreational stores, not one of those products I mentioned can you get at one of those rec stores.
That's right.
No. So they're just strictly recreational. Yeah, they're just strictly
and you know, even with that native reserve dispensary that opened, the Saskatchewan government, provincial government is now saying that they have control over that. And the federal government gave them the legal right to the stores. Why doesn't the provincial government say that the federal government gave them the legal right to allow medical shops in their province as well? We never hear the government talking about that.
No, that's right. That's right. And with not being able to access all of the products that patients have been using for a decade already. I mean, these lotions and creams and potions and tinctures and topicals of all kinds, ingestibles of all kinds have been around for, 10 years now. This has been a developing industry where patients and patient bakers and creators have created the products that actually aid in our ailments. Now they're already out there, they're on the market and they're flourishing, and the government's saying, well, no, we have to take those away because we're not ready yet, so you all got to wait.
No, we need to use it for a 2019 election thing.
Yeah, so no, we're not ready, so we're going to take it away from you, and you patients, that's okay, take a step back in time by 10 years and blow your machine out the window.
Yeah, go back on your narcotics, go back on your pharmaceuticals, go back on your biologic drugs, which are causing cancers and everything else, and not working.
Yeah. I mean, how is, and this was my biggest fear through the entire campaign of legalization. That's the only thing I said repeatedly. This cannot come on the backs of patients.
Exactly.
And that's exactly how it's mapping out.
Well, let's see how this campaign goes, because remember the last one, Trudeau I remember him in Winnipeg at the dispensary saying this is what the medical cannabis patient needs are these storefronts.
That's right.
Once he was voted in, then it was, no, we got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And saying that 90% of Canadians only get a prescription for cannabis so they can smoke pot legally.
Yeah, I know. I mean, just continuing the reefer madness propaganda. Welcome to 2018, and it still exists.
Yeah, we have drug counselors, that are going on media, like on radio and TV, and saying how terrible cannabis is. It's like, how dare you? You're a drug counselor.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. It really is. But I know Al's going to try and break in.
Yeah, I'm right here. As always. Kelly, what we usually try to do is match our song to our guest. And being that Crohn's and IBD and all that's out there happened to be a song about it. So our listeners are going to hear a little bit of a song about IBD. And when we return, we're going to continue our talk with our guests. Kelly, Csada, this is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at 420radio.ca.
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Ooh.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Let's go.
If I'm talking about disease, it's what's going on inside of me. Some of you got Crohn's, cause Jesus got you see. Let me go and tell them, let me go ahead and speak.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reef Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarawana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham, and no week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at 420radio.ca. An apple a day won't keep this doctor away, but a gram of cannabis may keep you away from the doctor. Find out how by tuning into The Higher Estate with Dr. Ira Price, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here at 420radio.ca. Tune in to DJ Passion from the land of Ganja, the island of Jamaica, when he comes to you live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Canada's, your friendly neighborhood Campbellford head shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Let us help you grow your four with weekly Tuesday night gardening sessions for beginners. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Canada's, more than just a head shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cats got Crohn's, whichever way you walk it, have you feeling so alone? But I'm here to tell you first, you ain't all by yourself, cause almost 1 million people's guts yelling out for help. Some of y'all get mad, others start to cry. So lying on Csada has us asking doctors why. It ain't the end of the world.
Hello and welcome back. We are live and you're listening to the award-winning Pace Radio Show. We are here for radio.ca. We can also be found live at places such as Spreaker, Showcast, TuneIn Radio, for example. Tonight on the program, I'm joined by our guest, Kelly, Csada, and my joint host, Kim Cooper. Well, ladies, we talked about legalization. We've talked about Crohn's disease. Where are we going now?
Well, I thought we'd talk a little bit more about KELZ and what's going on. I'm just perusing the website here, and I love the top. You know, of course, patients helping patients, right?
Yeah, that's always been our motto.
Yeah, for sure. So you did a bit of a switch. We kind of touched on this a little bit. When you started off, you were a dispensary that also offered some counseling services and stuff like that. You were helping patients still within the dispensary regime. With legalization, the dispensary is no more.
Yeah, so actually that happened kind of in January because of legalization, right? When I opened, was very open about what I was doing. Went to the police, the RCMP, the mayor. I was in a gray area, but when they announced that the legalization of recreational was going to be this year, 19 shops opened in Regina, and so the police kind of took a stand and said, "That's it." When that happened, I said I was apply. But I mean, we still have the door swinging every day, and we're helping as many people as we can.
Excellent. So you do a lot of stuff in the shop. We talked a little bit about the medical seminar that you did. Tell me about some of the services that the shop offers there.
So, like any patient, the door is open. My office door is open. They can come in anytime and learn anything about cannabis. The phone is always ringing. We also have a doctor that can help patients who, when they can't, their family doctor won't prescribe. Because that was another thing that happened with the legalization is that I had my door inundated with people saying, "Oh, I need this or that." And I'm like, "Okay, just wait here." Well, my doctor said we don't need a prescription because it's legal now. Well, cannabis has been legal in Canada since 2001. Nothing's changed there.
Right.
This is recreational, so to send a patient and said, "No, yeah, you should use it. Where you go?"
Yeah, that's not being a doctor. Yeah, go buy recreational cannabis and just, experiment and go smoke a joint.
Exactly. And we help people if they want to be signed up with the LP system. We help them navigate that. There's a lot of different avenues, but it's about making sure that people have their medicine that they need.
Excellent. And your plans for the future are just to continue those avenues and stuff. And your efforts were recently featured in Saskatchewan CBC news article as well, right?
Yeah, so we had an interview with them because everybody's talking about how the recreational legalization of rec across Canada has now affected the medical people. And, every day there's people coming in that they're going on these sites that they were linked to through Health Canada, through their doctor, and they're not being able to get the product that they need anymore. And they've had great results, gotten off their medications. We have addicts that don't use their opiates anymore, and now all of a sudden they can't get the medication they need.
Yeah, and we're seeing that all over.
And now they don't.
Yeah, the LP model
have a prescription for they don't have a prescription anymore for the opiate drugs.
Exactly.
So now they have to turn somewhere else for those.
It's sending everybody to the street.
Yeah,
and because with the scary stuff that is put in those pills that are on the street now, you just see higher and higher overdose rates.
That's right. And a lot of these patients, we know they're veterans and they're suffering for stuff like PTSD and traumatic syndromes like that.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, no medication.
Yeah.
And even, you know how hard it is in Canada now to even get into a doctor or get a family doctor for people who don't have one.
Oh, yeah. There's no such thing where I am.
I mean, when you're telling a new doctor that you're seeing that that you're prescribed cannabis by your other doctor, well, you know, that could be the end of the conversation.
Too bad.
Right
Go back to your other doctor.
Yeah. And we get that a lot.
Yeah,
we get that a lot in Northern Ontario as well. A lot of issues. Many people for, small things, like I've got a cold that needs to be checked out, they're winding up in the ER.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and, the most of the doctors will say, no, we're not allowed to prescribe for that.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to prescribe for this. We can prescribe for nausea for cancer patients. No, it's proven that it doesn't work for this. Well, if it's proven it doesn't work for that, how come you guys always say there's no evidence? But they're so hypocritical.
That's right.
Because the evidence for them is there when they want to say no, but there's no evidence there for them to say yes.
That's right. And I love that you've pointed that out. Because as you know, I counsel patients in my area as well, doing similar to what you do, with not to quite that extent though, of course. But the bits that I do out here, and that's the one thing I tell my people too, is, be educated. There's no way a doctor can tell you, well, my doctor said he has proof it doesn't work. I said, how is that possible when all of they say is there's no proof other than anecdotal proof? There's no scientific evidence that it does work. So there can't be that it doesn't.
Well, when I went into my gastroenterologist's office and the first time he told me that I was in clinical remission, he said, and I was fully operational then, he said, Kelly, I've seen 10 patients that are on your medicine. And they're doing great. And he wanted to know what doctors were prescribing. And I said, why aren't you prescribing? Well, I don't have the scientific research here. I said, what about the 10 patients and me that are sitting here?
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that your scientific research right there? They're not looking at the research that is in their own files. Research is nothing more than a compilation of somebody sitting down and compiling those files. The data's there. It's just not being compiled.
Exactly. Well, I've compiled over the past 2 years, so there's a lot there. And we're going to start bringing it to the universities and the different places and getting these patients on clinical trials so we can slap that paper down.
Yeah. But I mean, we see, in the med doc documents that I'm sure you peruse as well once in a while. And there's studies that are based in these documents and done by Harvard grads and this and that and the other thing. And that's all they've done is peruse files. It wasn't an actual study, a hands-on study done with, patients in a clinical trial, but more a compilation of data. And then they come to a new conclusion with a new look at old data. And this is done all the time. So to me, the evidence is already there.
Oh, exactly. And look at the last 25 years out of Israel, the amazing stuff they've done there.
Yeah.
I mean, and so if that isn't research enough for you, how come the FDA can approve a drug that's 100 times more potent than fentanyl in how long? Where's the research on that?
Yeah.
And where was the research on fentanyl or OxyContin?
Or this brand new one they got now.
OxyContin out to say, that company that put the OxyContin out to say, no, it's not addictive. Where the hell was the research before the doctors started prescribing that?
No, and well, it came out of the pharmaceutical company, so that's okay.
Right.
That's their buddy.
Exactly.
Right? It's all about the buck.
Yeah, that money
that's
goes
what it comes down
way.
to. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, sadly enough. Yeah, I mean, it's been an amazing roller coaster ride, that's for sure. And we're seeing on a patient side that legalization, not so much.
No, but one good thing that's come of legalization is it's helping end the stigma surrounding cannabis, because there's people coming down to the shop looking for information now that were like, oh, finally it's legal. I've always wanted to check into this.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, always too scared to walk into somewhere because you don't know who's walking.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, maybe somebody will see me and I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, and there's a lot of people, that walk this earth that, hey, if it's not legal, I don't go near it. That's just the way they are.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they hear. But once the government gives the big check mark, it's okay. I'm okay then.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been doing kind of an impromptu sort of survey myself here on the home front. I had some home issues that I needed repairmen to take care of. So I had a couple of repairmen coming in and out of my house for the last few days doing a hot water tank job. So I had an opportunity to talk to 3 separate construction guys, home repair guys, and these are guys are in people's houses all day long, every day. They're in 5-6 houses. So it's can I ask you a question outside of your work, just out of curiosity? And I told them what I did for a living, and I said, I'm on a radio show and I'm just curious, are you smelling or seeing cannabis more in people's houses since legalization happened? All 3 had the same reaction. All 3 chuckled and said, "Oh, hell yeah!" So I think the general consensus is they know that it was happening before, but people knew they were coming, so they were waiting for them to leave. They no longer do that.
Or there was spray in the house and lighting the candles. And
and they're no longer doing that. Yeah,
exactly.
So that's not happening anymore. So now we've got, workmen coming in the house, and Buddy's sitting there and he just fumed a doob or whatever, and it's fine. He doesn't care anymore. So the workmen are seeing a lot more. And I asked them if they cared, and they all laughed. They all said the same thing. No, I don't care. One of the older gentlemen, he was a more of a senior gentleman in the work, and he laughed, and he says, no, as long as they don't ask me to smoke it.
Yeah, I've had... In the past, I've had people that actually have refused to work on my place.
Really?
The fact that, yeah.
See, and I have found the opposite. Yeah. Everybody kind of laughed. Acceptance because of legalization. Yeah, I think that's happening.
And then another one of the crappy things about it is, I bet you I get at least 5 phone calls a day about medical patients are calling down because of the legalization that's come through. They're like, we've been using cannabis for 5-6 years. Well, now my wife won't drive. It's like, what? Well, these new laws, if I get in my car, they're going to take my car. I'm going to be charged. I'm going to lose my license.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Big concern. I test positive, I would lose my license, or I would get fined or whatever when I get out of bed in the morning.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So where does that leave a patient?
Are so high, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But the tolerance, we've been doing this for years. I'm not intoxicated by any means when I get out of bed in the morning. Hell, I'm not intoxicated when I go to bed at night. It takes a concerted effort of partying to get me there these days because of the amount that you consume as a patient. You build a tolerance. You do not get intoxicated on it. You're not high. You're functioning.
I didn't see this, but I was told about it, and that was right around the legalization day. There was a CBC panel that was put together, and Kirk Tusaw was on the panel, and they got into the point of impairment and all that. And I don't know how long the show had run up to that point, And Kirk's point to them was, well, you know, if you're worried about an impairment, like, you know, I've medicated today, you know, I'm here this pound. Do I sound impaired?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. He said, well, everybody at the end of the show can decide what impairment's like because he had medicated before the show.
Yeah.
Do I look
There you
impaired?
go. Well, you're a
I'm a
witness to it.
patient
Yeah.
and I'm medicated. And we
Exactly.
just did this whole panel on the CBC, and I'm functioning in my capacity as a lawyer and a speaker, and you know, we're doing good here.
Yeah. Well, and I see that every day. You know, I have the age that comes to my shop is about 45 to 85.
Yeah.
Is the largest amount of, you know, in that age group. And I have, you know, them come in and they're like, well, I don't want to use any of that HTC stuff. Or what's that called?
Yeah.
I don't want to be high. I've seen that before. And I say, well, you know what? I took my medication 2 hours ago. It takes about 15 minutes to 2 hours to take effect. How do I look? Well, you look fine. It's about using your medication to get maximum benefit without compromising you. We all got to work and drive and do our thing.
That's right. And if you're new to the medicine, the key is to start slow, low dose until you feed your endocannabinoid system, and then you reopen up your receptors, and then you'll be okay after that. But go slow and increase slowly until the point you can handle it and you're at the level you need to be at and you're still functioning. But that's the key. Don't just, you know, eat a brownie.
You know, you have a 65-year-old woman come in and she's sent home with a 100 or 200 milligram chocolate bar, and that's good, and they eat the whole damn thing. They're never going to come back.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. Holy smokes, I had a bad night.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or you wind up with a pop in the tree.
First time I ingested cannabis, I was sold this cookie. I said, what do I do? Well, eat it. I'm like, okay. That was Saturday morning. When I went to work Monday morning, I was still high.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
No.
But thank goodness, you know, my husband has used cannabis for, you know, ever. I had him to, you know, talk me through it and make me understand nothing's going to happen. You're not overdosing. This is
just going to go to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. Please
just go to sleep. That's usually the best remedy. You know what? Just go to sleep. When you wake up, you'll be okay.
You'll say the best sleep I ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But you know, and that's just it. It's the education aspect that has to go along with this. There's a lot of high dose edibles out there, so people have to be careful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been using for 10 or 20 years, but I've been using it, like I said, for almost 4. 12.5 milligrams is all I can ingest.
Yeah. Like and we're all different in that way.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
And we're all different. What works for you might not work for this guy.
Yeah, that'll be like 300 pounds, 6'4". It's like, well, no, like I'm way bigger than you are. Yeah, but you might only be able to do 5 milligrams.
That's right.
Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different, right?
That's right. And its size has nothing to do with it.
No. There's so many factors.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's you know, the education is so very, very important. So you're providing one hell of a great service to your community, having sort of an open door policy. You're curious, you have questions, you're offering a place for answers.
Yep, and I take time for anybody when they come through the door. And we're going to start having once a month, just like a discussion evening. You know, I put the feeler out there. There's a lot of people interested, and they want to learn. So I thought, you know, just walking into a place, sitting in a chair and listening to somebody talk for an hour, no. It's going to just be open the door, what's anybody's concerns? We got a lot of patients here. We've got, maybe a couple nurses, might have a doctor. Let's just open a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, short
that's
documentaries. Find any of those short documentaries or stuff on information that you can present. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just continuing the education all the way across. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
and helping with doctors is a really big thing these days because it's such a needed service. I mean, there are so few out there that are doing anything to help, right?
Exactly. And do we want shoppers running the courses for the doctors?
Yeah.
And what I'm finding from some patients is that the doctors just tell them to go to such and such clinic and get a signature down there.
Yeah, they'll send them to cannabinoid therapy clinics.
Yeah.
For profit.
That way they're not actually signing it, but yet they feel like they're still helping the patient. Yes.
Yeah, now I'm not sure. I think this is just Ontario. I'm not sure what it is in Saskatchewan. Are your nurse practitioners in Saskatchewan allowed to sign?
No, not yet.
Yeah, we have that in Ontario. They've given the right to the nurse practitioners in Ontario. They did that last year or 2 years ago. Nurse practitioners could now sign the same as like an antibiotic and anything except a narcotic. And now since cannabis is no longer considered a narcotic, nurse practitioners can sign for it. So that kind of, if you can push your legislation for that, that really helps open a lot of doors.
It does, but then on the other hand, you have these doctors that have been signing and helping patients, but then getting their hands slapped by the college.
Yeah, well, that's where nurse practitioners come in.
Right, but is that going to happen to them too?
I don't know. Yeah. So far in Ontario, I haven't heard that it has, because they don't bill through OHIP.
Okay, there you go. But it still goes to the LP, right? And then then that has to be reported to Health Canada. So it's going to come up that, hey, this nurse practitioner has been signing 50 scripts a month. Like, what the hell,
Yeah,
I hope
could
that
be.
doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, so far so good. I haven't heard. I'll look into that to see if any of the people that I know that are using that kind of a thing are having issues with any notices so far. Interesting aspects for sure, but it has helped open up the doors to more. It took a while for the nurse practitioners to get on board, though. It took them a while to get educated, and kind of full circle back to you. That's where I was going with this in the start with, is you providing that service already to sort of the nursing populace in your region is one step forward before that even happens, right?
Yeah, how nice is that?
Yeah. So they're already educated. So if you push to get nurse practitioners to sign, and your nursing population and your nurse practitioner population is pre-educated, then that's all the better.
Well, yeah, and they're the ones dealing with the patients who are coming in there using cannabis.
Yeah, we don't
information.
Yeah, we don't see doctors. I don't know what it's like there, but I know here it's usually, your handful of clinicians that are in a clinic. You got your dietitian, your nurse, your nurse practitioner, blah, blah. The doctor comes in once a week and signs forms.
Right. Or if you're in the hospital, same thing. You might see the doctor. If you're there for a week, you might see the doctor twice.
It's the nurses that you deal
all
with.
The time.
That's right. That's right.
And they're the ones seeing how the benefits that these patients have been having with cannabis. And they're recording those in their files, so they know what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's an evolving situation, and even though we have sort of a federal medical program, and we do have now a federal non-medicinal program, it's still somewhat of a patchwork, because of individual provinces' regulations. It still makes it sketchy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
not universal
'cause he
across.
got the rope. Yeah, which would be so nice.
Yeah. It would be nice to have one system.
I just hope that, the rec stores that are open, they learn a little bit about what they're selling.
Yeah.
I know there's some that applied for a license because I'm just going to try and apply for a license, and they got one. So, hope they educate themselves, because the wrong information going out there is what's going to hurt people.
Yeah, for sure.
I know the employees of the liquor stores. I know years ago they used to go out and get some information and education on the kinds of wines and stuff that they sold.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I sold
Yeah, so I
wine
hope
for a
that's
few years. Yeah, I sold wine for a few years, many, many moons ago, and I had to take a little course and learn about wine so I could talk to the people that came into the store. Are they going to do that with cannabis? I don't know. It'd be nice if they do.
Well, because, there's a lot of people who have built their careers in different industries that their employers have zero tolerance. You can't have any THC in your system.
I know.
Your job is gone.
Yep.
Well, now they're walking into a rec store. Is that rec store selling them that CBD oil and saying, here you go, it's fine to take?
Yeah.
If it's a full spectrum CBD oil, you're going to test positive for THC in your system.
Yep. You are.
Because
Nothing has zero THC. Nothing.
Empty.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right, ladies. Commercial time.
All righty. That's flying by.
All right. Tonight's music for our bumper song the song is called Got IBD, and we know all about that, don't we, ladies? Then when we return, we'll continue our conversation with our guest, Kelly Csada. What did I do that time? Yeah, you're listening to the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at 420radio.ca.
What are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this.
Let me go and tell them, let me go ahead and speed. Now Crohn's and colitis, stay on the same side. Both cause inflammation all up in your intestines. Usually keeps it low in the colon, mainly hope. Blown up from top to bottom, chances are you rockin' Crohn. But check it either way, you're now welcome to the game. IBD don't set you free, got some things you need to change. The gut's a crazy thing, start a journal of what you eat.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Are you looking for cannabis news, education, and people's opinions? Are you looking to learn what Canadian and international cannabis advocates are doing, not only now, but what got them to this point in their lives, and what does the future hold for them? Do you want to learn how patients are using cannabis as their daily medication, or learn how their cannabis use helps them with their medical condition? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I'm going to suggest to you to tune in to Lifestyle Radio. Catch their live weekly shows and have your questions and concerns answered and find the experience you're looking for. Monday, catch your weekly news broadcast with the Reef Reporters. Then on Wednesday, get several hours worth of cannabis public education. We get things started with Cannabis and Coffee with Tamarawana. Finish up your evening with the award-winning Pace Radio Show with Al Graham, and no week would be complete without tuning into Friday night's program, the 420 Radio Show featuring Al Rapp and the 420 Radio crew, Mary Jane Baker and Marcel Gignac. Cannabis is a lifestyle, and you can catch all your cannabis lifestyle information right here at 420radio.ca. An apple a day won't keep this doctor away, but a gram of cannabis may keep you away from the doctor. Find out how by tuning into The Higher Estate with Dr. Ira Price, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only here at 420radio.ca. Tune in to DJ Passion from the land of Ganja, the island of Jamaica, when he comes to you live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Cannadays, your friendly neighborhood Campbellford head shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Let us help you grow your four with weekly Tuesday night gardening sessions for beginners. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Cannadays, more than just a head shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Hard to sleep, or some side effects do get you on inflamed. For those whose bodies play, gotta hit that rim of cake. I beat up in 2 months, help that gut get that saved. Now I know I'm not going on this, but I gotta be real for 1 second. IBD may be the disease that you have.
And we're back. Hey, are you back too?
We're back. Yeah, I'm back too. That's right.
Excellent.
I'm here.
Excellent. I
Okay,
wasn't sure.
That's right. Imagine. Hey, well, I was trying to clean up some and hit the wrong button during break, but I am back just in time.
Just in time, and I was just ready to say we're back, and I heard you say we're back, and it's like, oh, that's so cool.
All right. Okay, ladies. We're in the last segment of the program, and where would we like to go from here?
Well, we were just saying, like we talked about a lot of what's going on at KELZ, and people can come and go whenever they like and get some information, and it's great to see that KELZ will be carrying on in the community there, and hopefully expanding in the future and helping advance the medical community's information that's out there now that cannabis has gained much more acceptance. We were talked a lot about the medical community so far and what's going on there. There's also a bit of a thing going on in the world down in your end that involves people in the West Coast quite a bit. And I think it may affect nationwide, and Kelly and I were talking about that over the break. There's a constitutional challenge well, there's several of them, but the one we're talking about is being led by a team that consists of John Conroy, Kirk Tusaw, Jack Lloyd, and Robert Laurie, I believe. What do you know about that, Alice?
Well, I think that's about the medical dispensaries, right?
Yeah.
Because they're providing the access that isn't there through the government system, which has been the fight all along. And now that, medical patients aren't having access even through the government site, you think once they get through this challenge, they win it, that should affect everyone in Canada.
Yeah, because I think part of the argument is that patients only have access through the mailing system, but yet recreational patients can go to a store,
walk into a shop and just purchase. Yeah,
but and those
and we don't have that option as a patient. So I mean,
we don't even have a mail option right now.
Right?
Really. Yeah,
ridiculous.
Trailer loads of mail that's sitting there.
Yeah.
It's funny that happened right after the legalization, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they pick their dates for a reason.
Yeah, it's a bargaining tool for sure.
Yeah.
But I wonder, we don't know how long it'll take for any kind of a judgment or anything like that to come down on this decision. But it is quite an interesting case, and it's interesting that you actually brought it up because we actually have Robert Laurie on as a guest next week.
Nice.
Do it.
I'll have to tune
There
in.
you go. Good.
Yeah. So I'll be able to get a lot of these answers off him. Yeah, he is. He's on my list for next week. So we'll be touching base with him on that. Now, if that winds up being a nationwide ruling, which we think that it is, obviously that would affect you as well because you're a medicinal dispensary as part, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, I sure hope they win because, I mean, do no harm. I was paying taxes, is doing everything, plus helping patients. And then, all of a sudden, no, you can't do that anymore. This is how we're doing it. Well, there was already a constitutional challenge, the Allard ruling, right?
That's right. And that's what we're all living by, right? Right now. And right now, the Canadian government is not living up to Allard's expectation. Not at all.
Yeah. And just like they said, they weren't going to touch the medical for at least 5 years, but midnight October 17th, that ACMPR was wiped out, and we're all under the same Canadian Cannabis Act. Yeah.
So, I mean, and right from the get-go, it started off, of course, as MMAR. I mean, how many abbreviations have we gone through? Let's go through some of them. It was the MMAR, and then MMPR was after that, right?
Yeah.
ACMPR. It's the alphabets of cannabis.
Yeah, it's the alphabet soup of cannabis.
Yeah. With each changing moon, right?
Yeah, and we're all supposed to keep up with this. And that's another misconception that a lot of people have, too. They think that whatever regime that they were signed up to, they're automatically grandfathered in under the old regime. And I keep telling people, no, that is not so. The only people that get grandfathered in are MMAR. They're the only constant in all of this. As long as there are no changes to your MMAR, then that can stay in existence under the Allard ruling. But anybody else after that, if you came in under MMPR, then you follow the evolution. You're not still MMPR.
So does that MMAR still follow through now that we're under the Canadian Cannabis?
Yeah, until it's been satisfied and the injunction is lifted, it holds.
But the court has to lift it. Has to satisfy that court ruling.
Yeah, and it's not been satisfied yet, so it's going to hold until it is.
Now
MMAR is the only one that has that.
Now, let's say next year the government follows through. We get another announcement in October. They allow edibles. They come up with creams, lotions, all these types of things that are people were looking for access back there for that MMAR junction to come into to be put into place. Could that be a reason for it to be lifted down the road?
Oh, I'm sure that if the government does evolve with this and follow through with this, and once they allow all of it to be readily available to pretty much anywhere, then they have to lift the injunction because then the ruling will be satisfied, right?
That's the way I look at it. But
and then MMAR patients will be rolled into the Cannabis Act at that time.
Something to ask for next week. That's for sure. Yes.
It'll take a while.
Kelly,
yes.
You said earlier that you talked at the GI nurses conference and about your end of the story of that. Do you find that more and more professionals, like the nurses, because I used to attend the National Women's Show with Treating Yourself magazine, and we would get a lot of nurses or personal service workers, PSWs, that would come up and talk to us about that, and they would have patients in the closet who didn't really want to come out. So, you finding, since you've spoken at this conference, that more people are looking for some information along that line of profession?
Well, I can tell you after the conference, my email and messages and phone exploded.
Yeah.
With either nurses or family of those nurses or friends of those nurses. My mom, my sister, my brother, whatever, was just at a conference and they told me to come see you. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Awesome.
When you share your story and you can share other people's stories like that, that's they'd say, it's just anecdotal evidence, but these are real stories of real benefits.
You're putting a person
people.
behind it. That's right. You're putting the face there. You're like, okay, look at me. I am a normal professional person. This is me, and this is the face of cannabis.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just totally normal. I might have a funky color hair, but other than that,
that's normal today.
I got kids, I have grandchildren. I'm pretty low key. I'm not a big partier. I'm just a normal, everyday walk of life person. So, and when they talk to me, and I use cannabis every day, and they realize, well, okay, she's not doing crazy things. Because a lot of people that come down to see me think, oh my God, if I get high, I'll have no control over myself. I'll be doing God knows what, swinging from this rafters.
Yeah.
Well, I just smoked a joint before you came in, and everything's been fine. I haven't gotten ravaged on you. Yeah. So,
that's it. I mean, we do this radio show every week, and I'm consuming the entire time that we're on the air. We're still functioning. I'm still doing my thing. I'm working 18 hours a day on my computer, and I'm consuming all day long. It doesn't, it doesn't stop you from having a life by any means, and that's what we have to carry forward, right? Is get rid of the old hippie, Cheech and Chong stigma, lazy stoner image, because that just isn't so.
And that's kind of the nice thing about the legalization too, because we have these people that society kind of puts on a pedestal that are saying, hey, I've used cannabis for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it shocks them, but they're like, or, you have the medical patient that comes in and says, I don't want anyone to know. I don't want anyone to know, none of my friends. I'm like, well, that's okay. I'm not telling anybody. And they come in a couple weeks later and say, you know what? My best friend has been using this oil for 5 months. She didn't want to tell me.
Yeah, and they finally opened up to each other, and it's like, well, guess what? Me too.
Exactly.
And I've said that for years. Is if everybody stood up that has participated in cannabinoid therapy or used cannabis in any way, shape, or form, if they all stood up all at once, there'd be nobody left sitting down.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody's just too scared to say it.
Yep. Well, and it's like I said, it's that stigma too, because I know even with my daughters, I always tell the story. I've got 6 grandkids. My daughter, when she had her first son, she was, first time mom, oh my God. And I babysat them all the time, overnight, from the time he was a couple weeks old. When I switched to and I was on a fentanyl patch, long-acting oxy, and morphine for breakthrough.
Yeah.
When I switched to cannabis, I remember one night I was taking my grandson, Onyx, for the weekend, and they brought him over, and I remember my daughter saying, Mom, are you going to be okay? I'm like, what do you mean, okay? Well, did you eat a cookie? I'm like, what? But it was
were you worried about me when I was on the oxy?
Exactly. But it was that, that's how they kind of grew up with me. It was like, they just figured, those are pharmaceuticals. Those are prescribed by the doctor. You're fine. But this, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. And that's the stigma, right? It's like, and we experience that in our workplaces all the time. There's a lot of jobs they consider, safety sensitive. We touched on this just a little bit in the very beginning. Zero tolerance policies in the workplaces and this kind of thing. It's never going to work, especially with legalization. And these people, you can't smoke a joint on the weekend because it's going to show up in your piss test if you you'll test positive. But you can be on oxy, and you can be on perks, and you can be on fentanyl,
or you have
and that's okay.
You have the young people that work in safety sensitive positions that are using cocaine on the weekend because it's out of your system by Monday morning.
That's right. Because it's a toxin and it flushes through quickly because your body is working to get rid of the nasty chemicals, and it makes it disappear. Whereas cannabinoids, well, the body's like eating them up and saying, oh yeah, okay, that's making me operate. Let's hold on to these. That causes you to lose your job. It makes absolutely no sense.
No. And I'll tell you, with the legalization, so many things are happening to people in the workplace that never would have happened before it. I hear stories every day, and it's like they're getting their unions involved because what the hell? I've worked here for 25 years. I've used cannabis every day.
Yeah.
Why is it now that it became legal?
We discussed a story on the Reefer Report this week about a fellow who applied for a job, and he was using cannabis oil through a licensed producer, and he had quit weeks or months ahead of time, and he was worried that he was worried it was going to show up in the test, so he told, and then it came out negative, and they pulled the job offer away.
Because of the disclosure of the fact that he was using cannabinoid therapy. And the kicker is he was using it to treat a terminal illness.
Exactly. And, I posted that on my Facebook page, and I had a discussion. Usually I don't interact with the negativity, but this person wrote on there about how, yay for this company. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you really think this should be happening in Canada?
Yeah.
He did not have anything in his system. He tested negative. And they said, well, they couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't be high at work. Well, what do you mean? He tested negative.
Yeah. There's no guarantee that anybody isn't going to be high at work. There's no 100% guarantee that absolutely everybody on your job force is not ever going to be high at work. It's human population.
Or take a swig of...
I'd rather have an employee that was honest about it.
Yeah, like he told them about it.
Exactly, and he did not have to because it had been 6 months.
Yeah,
so
and what about
that who's willing to say, yes, I did use it? I'd much rather have an employee like that than someone who was doing it, but,
Yeah, and absolutely. And what about all the employees that are high at that workplace? I'd like to see how many of them are on oxys, fentanyl, codeine, all of the host of other products that are out there, because all of these workers are on pain meds, and all of them are narcotics.
You can buy
business would probably turn around and say,
over the counter.
But those are legal drugs. Well, hang on a second.
Well, so is the cannabis.
Exactly.
Right?
So is the cannabis.
Exactly.
But in their minds, it's still, it's still a negative.
Yeah. Just ridiculous.
It's going to take.
I think
it's going to take time to remove the stigma, but it's stuff that we all just got to keep working at.
Well, I think it's going to take lawsuits, and it's going to take court action. Time is going to take to get through the courts, because the courts are going to have the final say, I think, to change all of this, because we just can't trust the government to do it.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's where we are.
It should just be fit for duty. Just like
exactly.
Like the police service. They know that they're officer might smoke a joint on Friday night. As long as they're fit for duty Monday morning, there's no issue.
Yeah, whereas the RCMP, Toronto Police, and other police forces, it's 28 days, and some are banned right out.
Yeah, you can't do it.
And
I
how
mean,
are
you
they
can't
gonna prove that it's been 28 days?
28
How are they
days.
prove that it's been 28 days?
They're going to go on holidays for a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I go on vacation for 5 days or a week, and I consume during that week. I now have to take a month off and do nothing before I can go back to work.
But like I said, how are they going to prove, even if it was, if they test positive and say, well, I used 28 days ago, when they actually used 4 days ago? Do you know what I mean?
You got that point there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. They're not thinking at all. They're thinking with a real madness brain, and that's what's got to be eliminated.
And even that stuff is already before the courts. I know some of them, the associations have said, "Whoa, hey."
Yeah, I love the fact
here.
that
You
the
can't
police. Yeah, I love the fact that the police association is fighting cannabis regime. Okay,
they're fighting they're fighting for access.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Police unions fighting for cannabis rights. That's just beautiful.
Finally.
Yes, finally.
Finally.
Well, ladies, I see here we're pretty well at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, we're way past time for shout out.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's all right.
So I'll do a shout out, right?
You can go ahead and do your shout out time. That's right.
I want to do a shout out to the Muscatine Reserve for opening the dispensary. And, I know Stuart Martin is involved with that, and he's an amazing wealth of knowledge surrounding cannabis. They couldn't have a better person out there.
Nice. Very good. They are the ones that we were discussing in the news at the beginning of the show.
Yes. So the province has told them that they need to shut down. They've contacted the federal government, and they're waiting to have a sit down with them. And I hope everything works out.
Yeah, it sounds like they're not even recognizing the provincial government. They're going straight to the feds.
Right. They went straight to the federal government. And, I mean, it's about access, and it's about this is a plant that we shouldn't even be having all these laws around, but we do. And what do? We change them.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
That's right. That's right. Unfortunately, we always have to rely on the courts a lot of times for that to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, Kim. Okay, actually, Kelly, you got a website address?
Yeah. Sure. It's KELZ.ca, Facebook KELZ Medical. And I mean, anyone, in this area or wherever you want to give me a phone call, stop in. Anything you need to learn about cannabis. If I can't help you, I'll reach out to people I know who can.
Excellent. And KELZ is spelled KELZ?
Z. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just in case anybody thought it was an S, that's all.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. KELZ with a Z, with a Z, for sure. This week for me, I'm going to give my shout out to a group that we know personally. I'm going to talk to you about HOPE, the Hamilton Opioid Prevention Experiment. This is being offered at Gunjanistas, where we are being broadcasted from on a regular basis in Hamilton, Ontario. As we all talked about on tonight's show a little bit, opiate epidemic is quite great in cities across North America and beyond. They are doing something similar to what we've seen done in other cities like Vancouver by a few organizations out there. And we're using cannabis as a way to alleviate the symptoms of withdrawal getting off of opiates. So it's great for an alternative to opiates and for helping people get clean and get back on their feet. They're looking for help. They're looking for volunteers. They're looking for donations. They're looking for people to help. Are plentiful at this time. They're not looking for those. But if you do need help, go and see them down at Gunjanistas. Ask about HOPE and the Hamilton Opioid Prevention Experiment, local in the Hamilton area.
I believe they're getting together this Sunday.
Yeah, they've got events happening all over the place. Check out Ganjanista's Facebook page at Ganjanista's Cannabis Social Club.
Yeah. All righty. Okay. Just a reminder that I will be back next Wednesday. And Kim, you're joining me again.
I'm back again next week. Yeah, we're back with Robert Laurie next week, the lawyer that we were discussing earlier with the class action.
Yes, it'd be interesting to talk to have another lawyer on the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It was lots of fun.
Hey, we appreciate. Yeah, we appreciate you coming back on the show and talking to us and our listeners.
Yeah, love having you on. It's always great catching up with what's going on out in the middle of our country.
Yeah. All right. Thank yous. They always go out to our friendly folks at CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. They can be found at ccnexus.global. The Canada Days in Camelford. Here I'm sitting here in the front window looking outside the street right now. See some people at the restaurant across the street. So a big thank you to them. Also to Al Rapp, the man behind 420radio.ca and the guy who loves his Shadowrizer. Also, a big thank you to our guest, Kelly Csada of KELZ Medical Services. Kelly, like we said, we really appreciate you coming on the program and talking to everybody. And we look forward to having you again down the road, see how things are going.
Sounds great. Have a great night, everybody.
And thank you to you, Kim. Thank you for everything you do.
Oh, happy to do it and glad to be here, Al. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yes, we shall. All right. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the program. And good night. See you next week.
Good night.
Good night.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.